cool. So it's going to force me to record it like this, but that's fine. Okay, so again, I kind of jumped in, but again, I want it really very interactive and very open. And the goal here is to get us to think and to get us to use this as a tool. This could be your personal assistant very easily, and could do things that and has more knowledge than any human being. And as it relates to writing, it really is very, very, very powerful. Just a little about me. This is I believe our 25th year in this industry, and right here local in this market. I do a lot with cybersecurity stuff. I'm a CMMC certified. I have a CMMC certification as a registered. They call it my assessor now. I just took that class. I took my ethical hacking class this year, and I'm also a CISSP, which don't mean anything to you guys, but it's some pretty high level cybersecurity stuff that is, I feel like that in order to stay relevant, we have to really stay strong in that continuing education. And I've just seen, as a very personal note, what I've seen is a lot of people, they go so hard and they go up to a point, and then I get it, man. You get tired, right? And you don't want to focus, and then you go off and it kind of dwindles down, and then the sale happens or the death happens or whatever. And I want to operate a little differently than that. And I think that I want to go up, and I want it going strong up and to the right, and then maybe I die in my sleep, something like that. So the old folks kind of probably get that. But really, what we do as a company, and this has been an evolution, because we've been in business 25 years. We started out where I had 10 trucks running, and now I got really 2. Everything's flipped. Everything used to be done on site, on prem. Everything's done remote now. So it's been a constant change. Everything back then, we had it where you got billed by the hour, right? When we showed up, no proactivity, no nothing. Now everything is focused on proactivity, about management, about maintenance, about security. So there's been a big thing, and we have been redefining. And what we want to be is an accelerant to business. Technology should be an accelerant. And if you don't see it that way, it's being used wrong. Think about if you were, I was in China one time at where Buddha lives, and they're walking up the steps, 4 men walking up the steps with this platform and these poles. You should have seen these guys. They were monsters, because they walked carved steps up all the way up to Mount Tian, the second largest mountain in China. And think about if they would have had some wheels and an axle. Of course they're doing it for tradition, but I mean, think of just the evolution. That's really technology. And technology doesn't necessarily mean to be computers and bits and bytes. Technology can be a process that you develop, a better way of doing things. So we really want to keep our minds really wide open, but we want to accelerate using our type of technology to help businesses identify those needs, implement solutions, and then be able to support and sustain that success. I think like a World War I battle, how they would fight over one little trench and then they'd lose it. Anything I gain, I don't want to go back and lose. And so, that's a big challenge. It's an incredible challenge. I'm going to do a webinar next month. I'll plug that with some guys that run a product that helps manage businesses. It's a web-based product that I'd encourage you to watch, because it's really it helps you manage things. It's based off the Entrepreneurial Operating System, a book called Traction, and it's really changed our business incredibly. So anyway, all right, so this is kind of the manual task problem, and this is a big hit that we can take out with AI, is the manual task problem. 40% of time is spent on admin stuff, very repetitive. I go back and I one time read something about how when the Excel, it was really Quattro Pro, came out, and they had all of these people in Chicago on floors of doing accounting work. I mean, just floor after floor after floor after floor of people in there doing accounting work. Quattro Pro, which we now kind of evolved into Excel, came out, and they laid off floor after floor after floor of people because of computation being able to be done automatically, right? And then, of course, now databases and all the things that we do. So there's always been an evolution that is like this, and this is just one more thing that's going to take us there. The average is about 2.5 hours per day for these admin type people. I guarantee if you went to colleges right now and you wanted to be a paralegal, I bet the doors are empty. I bet you can't fill a class with like a paralegal right now, because there's boutique software out there that will plug into attorney software. It's already made. It's out there, and they're knocking those documents out left and right. And there's probably a lot of industries that'll, the more document centric, the more at this level of AI it can be implemented and really driven. And there's a 10x return, manual versus AI. And if you could get one thing, that's what I'd encourage you. Don't think too big, because it's like, wow, then you never get anything started. Think of one thing that you could automate. And I'm going to give you some companies, and there's 1,000 more out there that help people implement things. I'm not the guy. That's not what we're set up to do. But if I could help my clients do better, we're in one of the fastest growing markets in the world. If they grow by 10 or 15%, guess what? I get to grow by 10 or 15%. That's beautiful. I get to know them. I understand them. I can help them more because I have a relationship with them, and they just grow and add seats. That's kind of the game that I want to play. Because that churn of adding clients, losing clients, I've done that, man. I've done this a long time. And, we're about 4.5 times bigger than the average MSP in a tier 2 market. I've been to all the little classes where the smart people, teach and all that about our industry. I understand our industry to a large degree. And I played those games, and I've done it long enough to where I'm trying to sort out the wheat from the chaff, if you will. And to me, I'd like to go out really just helping maybe a smaller group of people get further than I would that churn of being out there just trying to always learn a new business and try to get them. And that's very taxing on the team. It's taxing on the client. It's taxing on everybody. So 81% of employees report that AI improves work. And if you could do just a simple workshop and even use ChatGPT free for your people to solve their own problems, it would blow your mind what you can get, because it reads the manual, right? It reads the website that your software runs in. Ask it a question. And I'm still very blown away, even within my team, how at times individuals don't go there first. They, and I'm trying to, of course, foster that environment and, go hit it for them and send it to them and say, look, this is what I got. Why don't you try that? And it's amazingly accurate, because you're going to get a better result. And I don't have in here, and I really should have put in here, so I'll just take this opportunity to talk about voice AI. They have like voice AI, and I believe somebody told me that they had a conversation for 20 or 30 minutes with an AI bot and didn't really know it. You really can talk to this bot about a company or whatever, and it can tell you all kinds of things. And the thing about it is that it gets smarter, but it also is programmed for, say, the goal. Like you set a goal in that, and it is programmed to go there. And like, let's say my goal is to get an appointment with Hal. I might, because I'm a human, I may be a little scared, right? I may not go for the gusto every time. AI is going to go for the gusto every time. It's going to loop back around, and it's like 2 or 3 times more effective at getting the goal than a human. because it doesn't, and again, that you program it to have, and you just use words about how it would interface with the person so that it's not rude, be kind, be funny, be gentle, be persuasive. You put all these words, and as it talks, it gets smarter and it gets better and it gets smarter and it gets better. It's going to really change a lot of things. All right, keep moving here. This is choosing the right AI tool. Like I said, there's absolutely tons of them out there. I mean, I bet there's 1,000 by now for sure. And they're all kind of specially designed to do a specific task. And it's going to get more and more and more and more diverse. They have the basic engine, and then someone's taking that engine and then they're perfecting it with prompts and with the way that it works to specialize into a specific industry, a specific task. There's a big service delivery tool like that is it's big. It's nobody in our industries really used it, but you may have heard of it. It's called ServiceNow. It's one of the first service companies that has a full-blown interface with AI. That software does, and it is going to, whoever's running that product, and if they're using it, they are going to really see a big advantage. And it makes it's very expensive. It's probably 5 times more expensive than the products that our industries use. But it could actually be that product's worth it if you could implement that correctly. So you want to think about your goal. What is one thing that, even if you could go figure out in your office what people are spending time on? If it has to do with words or things like that, or even analysis in financials, you can upload some Excel spreadsheets and ask for the reports to be put back in an Excel spreadsheet for you. And you can do that driving down the road. And it'll build the new Excel spreadsheets for you. So anything to do with numbers, words, or whatever, try to think of something that might change that game and work on that one thing. I wouldn't try to change the world with it. I'd try to do one thing. And or maybe just questions that you might have for someone. Ask ChatGPT. Check it first on ChatGPT. Be curious about what might happen, and I promise things will just fall in line in your mind. You'll just get more and more and more ideas of how this might work. And you want to compare the tools. A lot of these are free. Google has, and I'm going to say wrong words here probably because I don't remember. I don't use Google that much. It used to be Bard, but I think it's Gemini now. Yeah, it's Gemini now. It used to be B-A-R-D. I don't even know what that meant. Now they've changed it to Gemini. So inside your Google, if you use Chrome, you can get the add-on for Gemini. If you use X, it has Grok, G-R-O-K, and that's some ancient seer or something. I looked up what that meant or whatever. And it's in the app as well as it's a standalone app if you want to download it. And you can pay for it as well, and it gives you the faster engine. I find it really that most people, for the common things we do, the engines are plenty fast. But so choose the right one. There's some that do graphics and imaging. Sales AI is one that does voice. They're like a leader in the sales.ai is one that does voice. I'll tell you about Sales AI. I almost signed with them a while back. I just got too many plates spinning. It's somewhat high now, and it was Danny who told me. I talked to him this morning. For his restaurant, he did one that is like $500 a month for AI to answer the phone and book reservations and stuff. It interfaces with their reservation software, and he's like, you know what? I could make that $500 back up quick. But this will be one of those markets that's going to go like fiber optics for a long time. It's going towards zero, right? It's going to get cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. So negotiate. I just know from Sales AI, it was like stupid at first, and then it was like, I probably should do it. I just ain't got the bandwidth right now to pull it off. Like maybe $800 a month. It can do 10,000 calls at once. I mean, wow, right? And it's just incredible what it can do. So some cool stuff. And again, I want you to kind of like just start thinking, man. He who asks the best question will win in this game. So you want to use the right tool for the job. I'm going to show you in just a minute how to make a presentation. If you guys have to make presentations, I can make a presentation that'll be, I bet 90% the way I want it. This was made in AI. This presentation right here. Very few tweaks. And you could time me, I bet 5 minutes. And think, that used to take hours. It'll select the images. It'll do everything for me. So you can become an expert in your field, if nothing else, by using these tools. You can become better and faster and be able to have more output. There's even like AI stuff that's out there. I'm trying to think of the name of the one I think is kind of better. I probably won't come to me. But there's some that will actually film you. You film yourself talking for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and it will then you just put in, like, you chat GTP the script you want to write, you upload it, and it has you standing there talking. And it'll even clone your voice. It's pretty good. It ain't quite there. I think it's there for probably, like people that talk like this, but I don't talk like that. So, it'll get there. And I mean, I'm talking probably 6 months. It'll be so much better than what it is right now. So there's all kinds of things. There's a book called, Shane, I can't remember the name of it. What's the name of that book? About, we did it together. It's the thing about getting stuff done. Anyway, there's a book I read, and he called it the camcorder method for training your staff. You can record yourself and then upload that. See, that would work well for training your staff. It would be you speaking. They may know it's AI at some point or other, but still, instead of them having to read that workbook, you could actually video certain parts of what you do, and it would be more interactive. And there's a product called Trainial we use, where I use this Loom product to record the screen, and then I upload it to Trainial, and it creates like the screen video and the words that I used, and then I use AI to convert it to bullet points and things right there. I'm talking 3 minutes, and it's something that you do anyway, right? It's maybe you could even film setting up one of those machines. I know in like CNC type machines and all, that if you make sorry, I'm picking on you, but I'm just thinking about your stuff, because how you write that app to make that part can save you so much time. He makes gears and stuff in a machine shop, and the way that you write the algorithm can it keeps the machine more time cutting rather than traveling to get ready to cut. Is maybe a bad way to say it. Yes, sir.
Is the book Buy Back Your Time?
Yes, it is.
I
There we go. Yeah, buy back your time. Yeah, he calls it the camcorder method. And so there's just so many ways that you can amplify the things that you do, and get more more output and stuff. So, all right, and then you want to pilot. You want to try it, especially when it comes. What I find when I'm looking at like doing financial stuff, you have to ask the right prompts. And but if you want to get some great prompts, you know where you get them from? Chat GTP. Give me prompts for, and it'll give you all the prompts. So really, really cool stuff. All right, so embedded inside of Microsoft is a product called Copilot, which is just embedded in ChatGPT. It's ChatGPT embedded in Microsoft, and with that, I can I could have it literally. I don't use this product, although me and my buddy, when we were in Nashville, we were demoing. I use a product called Gamma.ai to make presentations. And he's like, well, let's try it. So we each got us a topic and we made a presentation. He made it in AI and I made it in Gamma. And Microsoft has come a long ways, but this will make a presentation for me using whatever this is. It's called PowerPoint, and so it'll make the presentation just by saying I want a topic on, like, give me a manual on a particular machine, or give me best practices on that machine. Boom, it'll write it. Let's think. Like best practice for, I'll stay in my lane because I'll be faster. Give me best practice for, there's a particular cybersecurity model I like called the CISSP. And that's all I type. Now I could really do a lot better on my prompting, but this is going to give me the things that I want to do. All right. So I don't know, that's probably 10, 15 seconds. And this is the prompts. I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna drop out over here and I'm gonna drop out here and I'm gonna go to my app called Gamma because that's what I use. Create new AI. It'll do websites, it'll do like papers and all kind of stuff too. I'm gonna do it with just paste in text. And I want a presentation. Somewhere there's a next button. Continue. All right. And this is, the cards are the number of slides I would like it to be. And hit continue. Then I want to use my custom template. I've made a template. So I'll make it kind of in the same theme that you're going to see now. It's generating. There's my 8 slides made in what, 2 or 3 minutes, and it'll be pretty good. I mean, it really will be. And I can go in here and edit it, say I wanted to change that. There was even a place in here I can go in here and change the edit with AI. I can make it longer, make it shorter, make it more visual. I can do all kinds of things within this. I've asked it to make it more visual. So we'll see what that does. And then you can always export it out into PowerPoint and modify it right there in PowerPoint later. But again, if you want to make presentations, or if you're in the industry of, say, safety training or whatever, my brother-in-law just got a job as he was a cable locator. And now he's in charge of training people how to locate cables. You can upload the video of what he did, and then you can use AI. And he can make training videos in literally minutes and be able to do his job, where trying to make that by hand, especially with people who are, a lot of times guys locating cables, he's not on the computer all day. So it's going to be double hard for him to be able to make that presentation. You may even have to turn that over to the marketing department or whatever. Now he can go in here and make a presentation quick and make it happen. All right, we'll keep going. Also, it integrates with Teams. And how many of you guys use Teams? Yeah, Teams is an absolute amazing product. I encourage you to start using it, to have your meetings, to centralize your communication. There's a lot of reasons from a security perspective to use it, but also a lot of reasons to use it from a perspective of being able to just run the company more effectively. You know how sometimes people call you, they email you, they text you, all this. Well, if you start using Teams, you have your communication centralized. And if you're backing up your Microsoft 365 platform, you also have it backed up, right? Everything's in one spot, and I can pop open Teams, and I can get summaries of meetings. And like if I have a meeting in Teams and I record it, it transcribes it. It gives me a synopsis. And if you get, if you really start to understand how it works, which don't take long, you're like, okay, that'll be an action item for me. Or that'll be a to-do for me. Or that'll be a to-do for you. And it keeps up with all the people based off their sign-in, produces a video of, here's my meeting chats. This was a technology business review I did yesterday. I won't let no proprietary information come out, but this is the meeting notes, bullet pointed. This will be the video, and you can see who spoke when. I can keyword search and it'll take me in that meeting to who said what. If I say every time the word, doodlebug, one of their computers named Doodlebug, every time the word Doodlebug was said, it'll take me to that spot in the video. Really cool. And what I love about it is when I go to do a synopsis, here's the follow-up task. I didn't have to scratch it all out and try to remember it and then have to do it, because I kind of try to do I'm a morning guy. And so I try to do my hard stuff in the morning, and sometimes I'll have 2 or 3 meetings, bang, 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 bang. And then I'd be scratching them out. And then the thing I don't want to do is go take all them notes, right? And go, and that'll be in the afternoon. So it's a double no, it's like, oh God, anything but that. So I can just come here and hit copy all, drop into an email and say, here's the synopsis of our meeting, here's the action items. And if you notice, it's got down at the bottom here, it's got who is responsible for them. So really cool, man. You look like you're on your game, right? And it did it all for it, and it's archived. So if I ever want to go back to that meeting, I have it archived. It's almost like I want to use it for when I just have a conversation with somebody. And hey, you know what? There's tools out there that'll do that. Now, look at your local laws, but there's tools that actually you can put on your phone, and it will absolutely capture all that meeting and categorize it just in the same way that this is happening right here. So I think that's really a very a powerful component, and that's all using Copilot, which is AI, inside the deal. And I can export that video, and it's just a really handy tool. This is just some things that are out there. ChatGPT was one of the pioneers that came out with it. I don't really know that. I think Grok has caught him. Elon Musk was in with ChatGPT, and he felt like that was with the guy that was big in Google, and really they had a differing opinion of how things should work. If you really look at like one of the main visionaries for Google, he really thinks that we can dump our brain into a machine. And Elon Musk got 13 kids, so obviously believes that he's pro humanity, and so they kind of had a falling out. And that's a very crappy way of probably explaining it. There's a lot more nuance to it than that, but it had to do with that type of what are we going to do with this. And so there are some dangers, and for sure. And to me, I think the biggest immediate danger would be interference with the data. Because if I load the data up in one way or another, that's the answer I'm going to get, right? So that's the fear that I would think. And, we've been in a time, really probably since the 60s. Some of you guys probably know a lot more about this than I do, but like where we have definitely had like the CIA working in the States, and a lot of bad stuff has happened that has been manipulated and controlled. So to me, if you ask for fear, that's the big fear. Is if they can get a hold of these big tech companies, they can sync it up with the colleges, they can sync it up with the political messaging, they can sync it up with the unions. They sync all that together, and it changes the narrative. It changes the direction of a culture because we don't know what we don't know. So that to me would be the thing that worries me about it. But some common things that could worry you is like using, and when I made this right here, let me show you on the main Copilot screen. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I know that based off of this data that it just pulled from me, it pulled from my internal sources in Copilot. Copilot pulled from there because I just saw what it wrote. And you have a choice between pulling from your internal documents, right? And internal documents for the Microsoft 365 platform would be things that you have permission to, like OneDrive, Teams channels that you're part of. It all lives really in SharePoint, which is the big platform. And that's the part that you have to be careful, because if you let people have permissions into the wrong files, they can then ask questions from that file, meaning your financials or your personal information. If you don't control the permissions correctly, you have a risk of a data breach. That makes sense. You see what I'm talking about? I'll show you like in the deal here. I'm always a little nervous because there ain't no telling what I've been searching. I ask some odd questions sometimes. I'm a little nervous sometimes, but whatever. I don't know if my internet is kind of slow here or what, but all right. So this is some little, they call them agents over here, right here. These are agents. And these are things that ultimately is going to be a huge industry for years to come, where people are going to take a base engine like the free ChatGPT, and then they're going to do their magic to it to hone it more towards a certain industry or a certain software, so that it's going to be more primed for asking questions, say for an attorney or something like that. But here's just some prompts, and a prompt is nothing more than a question. And it's just a prompt. It's like a conversation, like a prompt. I'm going to prompt you because I'm going to ask you a question. And these are just some prompts that are like, it has some, create an image of what a quantum computer would look like. We'll just click on that. Okay, comes down here. I hit the button. It's kind of slow on making images, and to me, the graphics is still lagging behind a little bit. But like anything else, it'll be there. But it's gonna. I think I use a different product for this, but I think this is going to create 4 of them. I think it does. Maybe not, I can't remember. Okay, yeah, it creates 4 different versions of it. And then you can, again, you can keep asking questions of it. You can say, make it look futuristic, add some glowing elements, show in lab. And the better that you ask the question, the more defining characteristics, and I'm not an English major, as y'all are certain of that, but I guess maybe, adjectives are that's for nouns, right? What's for verbs? Adverbs. The more words you use describing what you want, the better you're going to get on what you get. So this is some images of a futuristic quantum computer. The neat thing about this is that, I'll never forget one time, a long time ago, somehow or another, we got a Getty image and it got on our website. And they scour the internet to find, Getty, they're the big picture taking people. They scour the internet and they found it. And if it'd been me now, I'd say, get that damn thing down and, tell them to, whatever, leave me alone. But back then, I think I paid them like $2,000 because I was dumb. But I was scared. I thought I was going to get in big trouble. And but this, what I'm trying to say is this image is unique. Therefore, there is no patent on it. So you can use it freely. Kind of cool knowing that. This is that Long Family Trust agent I made. And you can save them. And the beautiful thing about it is, let's say that you had a particular industry and you had a standard operational procedure highly defined, and you wanted to upload that into this, and it pulls from only those source documents. Then you could have your people ask questions of that source data to make it more, living and more, a lot more accessible, a lot more probably usable, and the percentage of chance of it actually getting used, right?
How do you make it available to others, like in your
business? It's based off of the permissions, and I really don't. It's not that hard, but I don't want to dig all the way into that. It's based off who has permissions, and you can. I'm sure. I really. I don't know. I really don't know easily. I know it's easily done, but I believe it's going to be done in the admin center of the Copilot. And that's where you're going to set all those permissions as to who has permissions to what is in that admin center. That's a great question, though, because that's one of the challenges with Microsoft is that they are, it's not intuitive. Some of their apps are not intuitive.
So is that something that you help companies with?
Oh, for sure.
Set up SharePoint and direct permissions and stuff?
For sure, yeah. I've got guys that are trained on this that really know how to work that back end. And you want to do a review of that as you move more and more into the 365. You really have to do a permissions. You have to watch those permissions, because if you give anyone Copilot just by default, and by default, it's going to be set up in the Copilot backend that they have access to the 365 tenancy and anything they can see inside of that tenancy. So, it's sometimes, and I kind of get it from Microsoft's perspective, because if they locked it all the way down, nobody would even start to use it. So you have to, buyer beware a little bit, for sure. But yeah, we can definitely help on stuff like that, helping, set up simple things like this. But like, I can ask this from this particular long trust chat, who are the, I'll spell it wrong for sure, but it'll help me. So clarify the context, type of beneficiary. This thing right here is a very complicated trust. I encourage everyone to get one. It's still asking me more questions. I need to ask a better question, and we'll just call life insurance. I'm not doing so well here, so I better move to something else. But I have one for like a BIS agent, but probably the better thing to do would be to create an agent. And there's it's going to prompt us to do it where it kind of helps us do it, or you can just go straight to configure. And you can write in the prompts that you may want to automatically ask, but it's got some here, all templates. I want a career coach. So I could pick a career coach and it would help me. I could ask this particular agent things about how I want to be with a career, or you can go back here in the to configure it. You can name it, and then you can give it instructions like task and how it completes them. And there is down here, if you look at this actions coming soon, it's going to be able to actually do a lot of actions that are going to produce an outcome. So if you put a file in here, and that's what these companies I'm going to show you about later, that's what they specialize in, is really getting it to do work, that repetitive type work that you do in your business, have them show you how to use AI to get that stuff just knocked out for you. And then you have prompts and that's really just basic prompts. Let's say you had a specific report that you ran all the time. You would write that prompt right there and save it so that it would be on that screen like I showed you the standard prompts. You'd hit that prompt and it would automatically pull that, so you didn't have to type that particular prompt. So you can save a lot of prompts right in the agent right there. And one other thing, if I got a new chat, I'll show you what I'm talking about as far as the see, I have work and web up there at the top. This is where if I pull off the web, it's going to go out to the web and gather data. If I select here on work, it's going to pull only from the resources that are shared with me on the Microsoft 365 platform. So that's a great way to keep yourself, if you want it to stay within, for a more accurate response, if you will. So you've sourced the data for it. So therefore, you're going to only get the data that you've done. And you can also, if I saved a prompt, well, this is not the place where you'd ask for current news. I would use Grok for current news events and stuff like that. But tell me about the L level 2. This is something I do a lot. Level 2 compliance model. I hit that prompt, and then I can save prompts as well. This was one I was doing right here that I saved the other day. Develop a series of tech tips. But if I go back to that prompt, I can save this prompt, and I name it, and then save it. And now I can go back to that prompt and use that same prompt over and over and over again. And as I ask it more questions, it begins to formulate more of what I'm looking for, so it gives me better answers. I want to pause just a second. I've been doing a ton of talking. I want to give you guys the opportunity. Any questions or anything that, yeah?
How do you verify results? I'm a structural engineer, and just for instance, drop, I get it, calculate the maximum window stress, being fixed on the left side, super supported on the right, and using load at 100 pounds per foot. And it gave me the results of super supported being not fixed on the end, which was wrong by a factor of 20% in stress. So how do you verify the results? And I'm also a contractor, and I would like to incorporate it in my estimate. So
That's the kind of
I
stuff.
can't afford to make mistakes either way.
Exactly. Those are the kind of prompts that you really have to test out before you, things or calculations need to be kind of checked on. But you may use Copilot to source the information from a known source, so that, like you said, you reach the rock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The free version.
Yeah, that's right. And it's going to pull from the internet. And that's what I was saying, concern is whoever's feeding that data is the one who is going to, it's going to pull that results from that data. So on very specific things, you may find that you really want to use Copilot and control the source of where the information is coming from, especially like on building projects and codes and stuff like that. You wouldn't want to use the web. You want to use specific documents for that particular area.
So can I ask you can I add something to Drew? It says, Grok has not developed a reasoning model yet. There's any type of model that's been developed that ChatGPT applied and used in Gemini as well. So it may be that if you have a specific question that relies on specific calculations, you want to be using a model that is trained in reasoning because as opposed to Grok, which mostly is just predicting what the next sentence should sound like, it goes through and does the calculations. It creates a little program in the background that creates the calculations and then comes back with an answer. So, like ChatGPT 4.0 or Claude, so I think that Claude would probably give you a better answer than that.
I was thinking about Google's notebook where you can take all the county's official documents for building codes, the textbook that you trust the most on, formulas that you use, put that, just the rest of the book we look at, all these different things, we're going to take the truth that you know is, and then I'll answer your question on that.
Yeah. Let me show you. I didn't want to get, in the weeds because I'll do something wrong. Because again, this is all relatively new, but I'll demo that for you. Like if I want to create an agent, I'm going to create my own custom agent from my own set of documents, right? We're going to download.
You say you're going to produce your own agent. What is saying there?
This is using Copilot. And for things like you're doing, like remember we talked earlier about choosing the right product, basically the right ChatGPT, and there's probably 1,000 of them. And there's probably some that are designed exactly for your answer.
I made a note.
Yeah. And now Grok would be great asking it, what are the apps for my industry? What are the AI apps for my industry? Because that particular one is going to be more open to current events versus, ChatGPT, they kind of hold back on, they don't give you the latest rates. Because, people could exploit things with, if they had the complete latest rates. There's some gray area in this where there could be, knowledge power. If we could get the right data, we might have some insider trading or something. Yeah, but you know what I mean. But you want to use the right app, and I guarantee you, for that industry, there is a app specifically designed, and there'll be a company who's out there that is, solving a niche and it's jumped on it, and it's like, hey, I'm going to make this guy's life easy, and I'm going to make some money by using AI, and you'll be able to, they'll be able to put buttons on the area that you're working or whatever, and it's going to do all the stuff that we're going to try to do here manually. And they'll keep it updated and all that. I did a lot of research because, to me, one of the biggest industries that would benefit from this would be attorneys, right? And there is a ton of companies that sprung up that are helping and very specific. Let's just think through what you could do. I even got, I think it's called PACE ID. And PACE, I don't know what it stands for, but it is where you could look at a judge and you could analyze all of their rulings and all of the arguments that were made in those rulings. So, I mean, that's like it's public information, you know what I mean? So it's there, and there's going to be these companies. If I was a super smart guy, an entrepreneur, I could jump on that and go figure it out. because that's going to be money. And is that ethical and right? You know, I guarantee attorneys are trying to do that. They're just doing it the hard way, right? They're having to do it the paper way, and now all of a sudden you can load all those documents up and you can say, I know just an argument I'm going to make because, you know, how the law works, at least my way of thinking, it would be that, you know, that's, it's going to be difficult for him to rule against his own rules. Well, sir, exactly the way that you ruled in this case, you know, blah, 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 and yeah, that could be really powerful in that particular field. But I tell you, there's that type of level of probably power or to be harnessed in thousands of industries.
That is the question about the code, AI. I came from AIDS in college, and we were writing 4 PCs and P16, we were writing codes for structural engineering, maintenance methods and things. It was fortran basic. And is AI, is it a program? You said there's going to be hundreds of AI programs that you can pick from to make it specific. Is it actually a traditional code?
Sure, there's algorithms.
That's the algorithm?
Yes, it's an algorithm-based system. And I don't want to get all the way into the weeds, there's machine learning, AI, and all that, because honestly, that's not my strong suit. And I get stuff pretty quick, but you know, the gist is self-learning in that it looks at outcomes. The reason it works so well is, especially in language, is because when you and I have an interaction, we have a goal. Whether we want to recognize it or not, there's a point I'm trying to make, or I'm trying to take us to a conclusion. And AI is very old accordingly because it's going to a conclusion. And so if you then analyze the results, like say for the AI, the voice AI, if it started using a particular path to get somebody back to the goal and it didn't work, then we thought or by gender or by age, I mean, it can do so many things. It doesn't work. Oh, I got a 35-year-old female here. I don't want to go that route. I got to go this route. I mean, it will learn over time because it's going to put its success at and you know, it's why so they say it's all the data is like, let's say a 7 appointment with AI bot, you know, it's 4 times better than you. Because again, I may know my way. I can't talk this way, and I know my way, and that may work great with a 50-year-old male, but a 20-year-old female, that's gonna, you know, it's not gonna work. Well, as that thing goes and learns, it's gonna look at its outcomes, and it's gonna start to modify its outcomes in order to be more successful at the goal. Because the goal is the goal. So that's basically how it works. If you're doing math and stuff, rock issue.
I just got into AI. I don't know what
Yeah, and you have to play too. And I would be very careful. But in your industry, I guarantee there's a tool out there that would be that would help. You know, already a bot made to do that work.
You can ask ChatGPT right now. Tell me 10 of the best apps for engineers. And ask for a URL.
I'll show you briefly just a little bit more on this about like how, if you guys have ChatGPT, this right here, this knowledge section, this is the area where you can put in a public website. Let's say you wanted to get the synopsis of your website. You could put that in there, make an agent, and it's going to pull only from your website. Or you can browse, and it's going to pull up like a bunch of Teams folders, or I can type in OneDrive or whatever. Something went wrong. And that's a little Microsofty. I'll be honest with you. Microsoft does this kind of stuff where it'll work, but sometimes it just kind of flakes out. But I can browse. I can browse to a file. Okay, yeah. And let's say I want to look at my projects team and I want to use source data from just my projects. I can click on that projects team, and this would be where like permissions are very important, because if somebody clicks here, this is all the places and locations that they have access to. So I could click on just project teams, or I could go and go for more, and like say I had them in my my OneDrive. I can search my personal OneDrive, and I can go pull files for the CIS controls or for our marketing. And I can have it to where I only pull data from that one folder or one file. Or not supported. Well, that ain't supported. Right? I know Teams are. I use that. That's generally I put everything in Teams nowadays. So if I go back and I pull it from, say, my projects team, and I want to ask questions about projects, then now it's going to pull from only from there. I can also enable it to search the web to enhance what I have, but I may not want to. And then, like this code interpreter, convert natural language into code to create visualizations and solve math problems and analyze data. It's going to help you if you had something that needed in this particular agent we're building, if you turn that on, because it knows you're going to be wanting to do math. And then image generator, the same thing. If you're going to be creating a lot of images, you would turn that on. So we're custom building a bot, an agent for a specific task. And that's what this industry that is coming up is doing for specific industries. There's a whole bunch of companies making bots, but they're of course much more intricate. They're going to get down into the coding of it, much more levers to pull whenever they build this. And if you want to add starter prompts, and again, that would be something like, well, you know what? I want to ask this question every time, and it's going to show up on that dashboard. I click that, like, tell me the average days a project stays open. That may be a prompt that I add right there. So when I pull up that agent, the prompt's right there. I just hit that button, and it gives me that, so I don't have to type it. And then I really have, I've only played around with this, but you can go to the Copilot Studio. That's kind of the back end, and this is where these interfaces are getting made into specific applications that are going to be able to reproduce that outcome. If you get into stuff really fancy, I honestly think that you ought to look into hiring a company that does it. At least explore it. And I want to give y'all some of those. We talked about that, and we're about out of time here, and I want to have some time for some Q&A kind of stuff too. But I want to give you just a list of, this is just a very narrow list of companies that help companies develop their strategy or help them make an agent that will work specifically for them. Again, just idea creation. Another thing that's so cool is like, tell me, you got a project to do. Give me some ideas on how I want to do this or do that. Something, a fundraiser or a thing. How I got a problem with an employee, and I want to think about some ideas of how I could approach that subject with them. It'll give you a lot of ideas that are out there. This is that kind of the documents and things like that where I was showing you where you can upload them. And better prompts. If you want better answers, you have to ask better questions. Use AI to give you better prompts. What are great prompts for, what are 10 great prompts for, and again, the better question you ask, the better answer you'll get. So let's say for analyzing Excel spreadsheets with financial plan. Well, see, I use work, and that ain't going to give me the best. Not on that question. It's going to generate me 10 great prompts. Calculate year-over-year growth, create profit, and then you just save those as prompts within that agent. Like where it had that field where you add prompts, you just take that data and add it there. These could be some great things where you could, and then all you got to do is click the button. I'll show you back over here. I made this one for my daughter. And this is where the prompts are. This would be the ones that are saved. Like all those ones that whenever you made the agent, it'll show up on that screen. So you say, give me a comparison month over month over the last 5 years. Boom, that would set right there. You'd hit that button and it would generate that to you. What does that do?
What is an agent?
An agent is, remember I was it's using the core open source ChatGPT engine algorithm, right? And it's then we're just doing some minor specifications. I'm saying here's this engine, here's this large language model engine, and now I'm going to tell it, okay, I got all this engine that analyzes data, answers questions, all that, and then I'm going to tell it, okay, use this engine, it's free. And now I'm tweak it. I'm going to say, all right, well, use this engine only on this subset of data. And here's the set of questions that I want to have easily available to keep asking the questions of that data. Like my financials. Let's say I made my own agent.
Did you say that? I mean, if you take time to generate what you're saying is to analyze a subset of data, how do you save that so you don't have to go out and recreate the wheel?
That's what Cobalt does right there. When I was making one, you just hit save. Then it shows up right there on the right hand side. Like the one here that I had was, this is one called Emma. My daughter's going to nursing school and I was just playing around with it. And so I was giving her some questions and I pointed to some websites where they like the websites and the books that she had. I uploaded some of the books she had on PDF so she could just ask some questions. And here's the question one: what are the best practices for administering injections? I was like, hey, if you need to practice putting a needle in somebody, I'll do it. I want you to be good at it.
So Emma is the name of that agent?
Yeah, I named it Emma. I could have named it whatever. That's an
all that was the subset of data for her nursing questions.
I'm sorry?
That was basically, that agent that you created, Emma, was basically just a subset of data that the engine looks at as it relates to her nursing school.
And for you, let's say, we'll go something very practical. Let's say you had a HR book or whatever you call that, employee handbook. Get your employee handbook. You create an agent. You source employee handbook. It's in a Teams folder. You say, okay, I want to pull that out of the, it's put in the Teams folder. I just point that agent. I say, where do you get the data? That knowledge section. from the employee handbook, and then I could write some prompts that, tell me about PTO, tell me about how I get paid, tell me about how to pull my checks off the web or whatever, and that's all in that handbook. Then those prompts are saved, and then there is a way that you can publish. You asked that question.
Yeah.
That you can publish that out to additional people in your team, and then they have that agent show up right there, HR agent, and they click there and they pull from only those sources, and you've kind of helped them with the frequently asked questions, if you will. That's the prompts or the frequently asked questions. So pretty cool. I mean, again, there's just so many ways that in any department, and I would even, if you have a specific role, to get ideas. I'm a real estate agent working and the better question you ask, the better answer you're going to get. What market you're in, what type of real estate you sell. And I want to have marketing ideas that have been successful, like maybe the greatest agent that has a lot of material out on the website, out on the web. I want a marketing schema to fit what they're doing. It'll, 15 seconds later, it's got a bunch of information there. Or how do I, I'm a this guy, I'm a that guy, and how do I find a way to make my life easier? Or my wife's driving me crazy on this particular topic. How could I? How could I? How could I be a kinder, more loving husband? It would tell you something, and it's probably better. I mean, think about it. It's probably better than what you're thinking. All right. I digress. I want to give you guys I had a lot more slides here. We kind of did this stuff, though, honestly. I told you about creating an AI agent, and, I swear. And I want to really apologize because I thought I will send all of you a list of some companies that I did some research on that that might be a starting point in developing. Of course, like anything else, it's a if there's a a lot of people. I'm gonna use the example of writing a custom application when one's already made. You always go for the one that's already made. All right, that's a general rule of thumb. So the first thing that you would want to do is search your industry, search the board, search the resources that you have available about, hey man, what do they got out there in our industry? If you're an accountant, the AICPA. If you're a land title person, the ALTA, American Land Title Association. Call that industry and say, hey man, I'm wanting to figure out some ways to use AI in my industry. Do you have any particular resources that you could recommend? You want to go with somebody who's made the bot, made the agent. That's what that is, really. There's a company out there, and they had 1 million questions they answered to dial that bot in, to dial him in really tight, and to have asked him a bunch of questions and have a ton of prompts in there that make it really easy. You want to go that direction if at all possible. And I would negotiate. This market is going to zero. It ain't going to zero, but it ain't hit its bottom yet by far. I would not do a long-term deal if I didn't have to. And I'd compare 2 or 3 of them. Because a lot of industries, there's going to be 2 or 3. Like if you look at like for attorneys, man, there's probably 10 prominent ones out there. And they may have a different flavor, which I don't know. And so that's why you have to stay curious. You have to ask good questions. And I bet you'll come up with something that, I'll ask it this way. Not to be, I'm not trying to be controversial. Who in here would like to hire more people? To have more people? But for what reason? Because you have things that need to get done, right? If you could, let me ask another way. If you could, I mean, honestly, if you could streamline your organization with something that works 24/7, 365, could make 10,000 calls an hour, at once, excuse me, not an hour, at once, would you, and it was much more effective at closing, 4 times more effective at closing than a human being, would you hire agent, AI agent, or would you hire a human? That should tell us all we better get on the stick, right? We don't want to become obsolete. There's a lot of industries, a lot of jobs that are gonna become like a paralegal right now. I'd hate to think I was a paralegal right now, bro. I'd be trying to hone up on some other skills because it's just inevitable that is going to take a hit. And that's not like, I don't know if I don't see that as the evil world. I see that as always has happened. And technology is an accelerant, and it's going to do what it do, right? So, I think we, think that way is not an unhealthy or an uncaring way to think, because if you're not thinking that way, trust me, your competitor is, or the people you're buying parts from, or whoever is thinking that way. They're going to try to find a way to do it. So, all right. So we're